Hey everyone! Today's video is a bit of an experiment, and because you can see in the video what will be happening, I'm only going to pop in briefly. I often use a variety of Colerase pencils to give some final touches and dimension to watercolor pieces. But even though they're identical in principle, I've never actually used proper colored pencils in the same way before. I was going through my sewing bench and I came across a 24 count of Prismacolor pencils my mother got for me as a young teenager. And I figured, why not? I love to mix different mediums and try and see what textures and effects are unique to different combinations. So even if these things are nearly 15 years old, I figured it was worth giving them a shot. As a little background in case you've never used Colerase pencils, they're essentially an artist tool for sketching out details lightly. In this piece you can see I used a Lavender Colerase pencil to mark out the shape of what I needed to paint. For the colors I gravitate towards, I tend to prefer the lavender or the orange colors of these pencils. I find that, for me, they sink into the background the best in the final painting or sketch. The Colerase pencils are specifically formulated to be more easily erasable. They function more or less like graphite. And just like graphite, if you use a light hand, you can get a pretty even layer of color. On the other hand, with colored pencils, that waxy texture always seems to show on the page. This definitely creates its own unique effect, but I've never used it for layering, so I wanted to see how it would do. The subject I'm painting here is from the same story I introduced last week with Millie and Bob. Her name is Treana. Let's say she's an herbalist, a wisdom seeker, blessed be. And she's constantly followed by a will-o'-the-wisp named Dipit, who is sassy and ornery, but has made Treana's little cottage in the woods a home. Treana is an adaptation of my very first original character of the same name. My small group of friends had started giving each other names based on Final Fantasy characters, and I guess I wasn't up for committing to one. My best friend had asked me what I wanted my nickname to be, and I blurted out, Treanie, this silly character I had made up to go along with all of my favorite anime, as you do as a baby otaku. And now it's like 16 years later, and they still call me Treanie, and it's kinda cute. But all of that is to explain that Treana has been around for the better part of 2 decades, and she's gone through a ton of transformations. However, when I started writing this story, I felt she finally found a home. So although it means very little right now in its infancy, I thought I should round out the image of the 2 to 4 main characters of the story in case they should come up from time to time as I continue to world build. Back to the piece though, I had honestly forgotten how much I love working with colored pencils. They were definitely my first gateway into a wider pool of supplies. About 2/3 of the way done with this little piece was its sweet spot. And given the chance to undo, that's where I would have stopped. Lining is something I normally do very easily over the Colerase pencils, but the waxy texture of the colored pencils didn't work quite as well with it. Next time, I'll just be layering more color with the pencils themselves to create definition like I would with watercolor or ink. I'll be trying it out again soon. Anyway, that's all I have to share about this little piece of Treana and Dipit learning something new together, probably in their little reading nook where Dipit functions very well as a nightlight. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back next Thursday with a new video. Good luck!